Hello and welcome back to Life.EV, a podcast that dives into exploring values. I'm your host Ajit Panicker and lead an air conditioning company Nova and Pure Blue, a tech startup in the air conditioning domain. Join us every Saturday at 11 a.m. for conversations that go beyond business growth, focusing on the values that fuel it. Let's embark on a journey to uncover our true purpose and how we can grow by enriching our lives. Welcome to Life.EV, where we explore values in life and business. And as always, we've got Vivek with us who's going to share his reflections. Hi, Vivek. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Ajit. Thanks. How are you?
Absolutely good.
Always good
To
to
our
be back,
viewers,
Ajit.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is it always good to be back on your show?
Yep. It's episode number 26.
Wow.
So, to our viewers who are joining us for the first time, Vivek Asrani is the driving force behind KMO Fastener Company, a trailblazing company in the industrial fastener sector. What sets Vivek apart is his deep engagement with the exploration of values. For close to over 4 years, he has dedicatedly penned his reflections on this topic every week. These insightful thoughts are accessible on his website, vivekasrani.com. Additionally, Vivek has authored the book One Day at a Time Reflections from Times of Silence, which further delves into his journey and insights. This thought provoking read is available on Amazon or on his website, offering readers a chance to engage with his profound understanding of values and their role in both personal and professional lives. In today's episode of Life.EV, we are delving into a topic, taking a stand. Vivek, let's hear your reflections on this.
So, Ajit, our families, our businesses, and finally society gets shaped when we do things, we make decisions, and when faced with situations, we take a stand. A society, and I've written this as in my opening paragraph in my reflection, that a society that is indifferent to a deteriorating situation gets victimized by its own apathy. Now, very often we don't take a stand even though we feel otherwise, partly because we don't want conflict and we don't want to get involved and we don't want a conversation around certain things. So we say, you know what, just let it be. Sometimes we believe that it is going to lead to a breakdown in relationship and there is the fear in us, so we say let it be. Sometimes we feel that we are in the minority, people around us may not understand our point of view, and we say, let it be. Now, we can do that. It's not that we can't live that way. The danger and the risk in doing that are twofold. One is the risk to society, family, and business. Because every time we say let it be, effectively what we're doing is we are allowing status quo to continue. Now, it doesn't mean that status quo in itself may not be a good thing, but it is also possible that a lot of times we may have something to add or contribute, which out of fear of breakdown of relationship or convenience or not wanting conflict, staying in the comfort of, let me just stay away from these kind of conversations, we don't contribute or add to the way things are. So that is one risk. Second is if something is going in a negative or a wrong direction, we don't find it in ourselves to assert ourselves. And when we don't assert, we cannot change the course and the direction of the flow of something. So then that over a period of time comes back to hurt us, whether it be in the family or in our businesses or in society. So that's the one major risk in not taking a stand. But the second impact is to us. Over a period of time, we start living with a sense of suffocation, a sense of people don't understand me, a sense of I'm not able to freely express myself. And even though at every stage we've said, let it be, let it be, let it be, but it's not so easy to let it be internally and it just kind of starts building in over a period of time, and at some point it's going to come out, either impacting our health or impacting our happiness or impacting our relationships. So for our own well-being as well as the well-being of people and the situation around us, it's extremely important for us to be very aware that we need to take a stand. Now, the last thing that I would say to this is that taking a stand is not making a point just for the sake of making a point. It is not opposing for the sake of opposing. Sometimes taking a stand could also be agreeing with something and validating something. The last paragraph of my reflection, which I would like to read out, says that taking a stand may not be easy, but living with regret of not having spoken up can be very difficult. We never want to look back on life and say to ourselves in our moment of honesty, if only I had. And this, to my mind, Ajit, is the reason we need to sometimes step out of our comfort zones, put ourselves out there, and take a stand at times when we are comfortable not taking one, but the right thing is to get out of that comfort zone and actually take a stand.
Awesome. In your reflection, you've also spoken about two important things. One is, talking about safeguarding their institutions and also those who are vulnerable. Now, this comes to taking a stand for things that don't impact you directly, right? So, why do you think it's important that sometimes you take a stand for something that you believe in, but it doesn't impact you directly? What's your take on that?
So, in a very strange way, everything impacts us directly and or indirectly. So we're all interconnected in this world. I may say that corruption out there doesn't impact me directly because my business is not impacted with corruption in that department. But end of the day, I'm going to get impacted if another uh, locality is filthy and garbage is not getting collected over there, and I say, but my neighborhood is clean and my street is clean, and I don't, it doesn't impact me. Of course, it's going to impact me sooner or later. So to start with, I think there is an interdependence and an interconnection in everything that we do. So it does impact us. So that is one. Second is, very often we find ourselves in the role of custodians of institutions and responsibilities that we are entrusted with. And in that role, it's not just about maximizing our own gain and benefit, but it is also protecting and taking care of people whom we represent or who in turn will get directly or indirectly impacted with what we do. The principle, Ajit, always has to be not who is right, but what is right. When we take a stand for an issue, then we are focusing on what is right. When it is our ego that's taking a stand against another person, then we are focusing on who is right. And we see that often enough in the public domain as well as sometimes in our own personal lives. And this really goes down to also recognizing that what is our role in society. I remember in school, there was a lovely quote we had heard that no man is an island, everyone is part of a continent. So it's true for everything you do in life. So when I don't take a stand, at one level, I am also taking a stand against myself because that very thing at a future time frame may actually come back to uh, hurt us. I'll give you a small example on this. I remember, and I spoke about this in an earlier podcast, where on the pavement outside our building, the BMC was, building a kind of a mustard choki for their conservancy staff. And for the longest time, nobody in the neighborhood was taking a stand, right? That listen, this is not the right place. Till one day I actually barged into the ward officer's cabin and said, so there's a bit of an emergency. He was very angry the way I went in, but then when I explained the situation to him, he sent a jeep with his officers. They came and saw the place. They said, okay, but give us an alternate location. I said, there is a place where you can build that mustard choki. So they have a great mustard choki and we have a beautiful garden outside our building today. Now, I could have not taken the stand and said, big deal, it's not my problem. Life wouldn't have changed for me personally, but we'd be living with that monstrosity just outside our building, which wouldn't have been desirable. So I'm saying it's also important to recognize that it's not only about ourselves. Sometimes we have to step out because a lot of others are dependent on us. And in the long run, it's going to come back to hurt us in any case if we don't take a stand.
So usually when you take a stand like this, I'm saying, okay, it's not about the egos. It's just about a stand that you've taken either for yourself or for the common good. It's never easy, right? There are always challenges. Do you want to share some of those challenges that you faced, even from a personal experience, in business or in general life? Anything that comes across your mind?
So I'll share uh, three examples with you, or three situations with you: one from my personal family life, one from my business life, and one from more a societal, right? So let me start with the last one first, which is uh, in our cooperative housing society, and we have a lovely building. But there was a period when there was a lot of stress and friction in the society. The whole governance was highly bureaucratic and regimented, and the then committee was very arrogant. At least the two people who were leading it then, very bureaucratic, very regimental in the way they were doing things, very high-handed. I would say high-handedness was the operating paradigm. It reached a point where there were cases against the society. There was huge friction. There was stress during AGMs, and at one of the AGMs, the cops were actually called to be on standby, right?
Uh,
And at that AGM, two of us actually spoke because we were taking a stand on principle. And I remember the then uh, chairperson, she shut down the meeting and said, okay, the meeting comes to an end. Anything which is said from here onwards is not part of the meeting and not to be recorded, which was blatant violation of good governance and procedures. And some of us took a stand. We took a very strong stand. We actually stood for elections which were coming up in the next 1 year, and the most of the committee changed. And what we did then was not, Ajit, go after these guys. Absolutely not. We opened up the committee room to become a gym and a recreation room. We started our building dinners, the get-togethers, which were not happening for years. The two cases against the committee and where there was a fight in the building, we called those two families, sat each one of them down individually. There were two different cases, and got them resolved. We started getting people from the building to participate in some of the decision making. And today, even if I may say so myself, we have a fantastic building. Uh, we have our minor issues. It's not that we don't, but on balance, like our AGMs get over now in less than 30 minutes, right?
uh,
So because we took a stand, we brought about a change. That was one. If I look at it from a business standpoint, we had an income tax issue. In one of our scrutinies, we were asked for some money which we refused to pay. The officer then disallowed our depreciation on some flimsy ground. Not only did he do that, he was so vindictive that he opened 4 years prior assessments, and the next 3 years, our scrutiny notices came. So we were in appeal for 7 years over a insignificant amount of money, but we took a stand that we will not pay. Long story short, I mean, we won the appeals, it got thrown out, and we won in the first hearing itself in front of the commissioner. In fact, when I would meet the officer later on and he got to know us a little better, he actually apologized to us. He's saying, मेरे से गलती हो गई, आपके साथ मुझे ये नहीं करना चाहिए था, लेकिन आप अपील में जीत जाओगे. I said, हम अपील में जीत जाएंगे, ये हम भी जानते हैं. But do you realize what you are doing to what I believe a good, honest MSME in this country who's working hard to try and build this nation through generating employment and giving you good taxes? You are handcuffing us, okay, and misusing your position. But be that as it may, we'll fight it out, and I know we'll win because you have absolutely no reason for disallowing this, right? Even on merit. But because we went through that and we took a stand, now two things have happened. Internally, our resilience has increased, our own internal systems have become stronger. Externally, I don't know whether I've made a change or not. And I'm not for a moment claiming to say that because we took a stand against paying, the system has become better. I don't know whether that man changed as a human being, or corruption came down in this country or not. But I still believe it was the right thing for us to do, and therefore we took a stand. And the third has been, I think, for me, the hallmark of growing up in business. Dad and I had this fantastic relationship. At one level, he was my father. At another level, he would partner with me. He and I saw business very similarly at one level, very differently at another level, because stylistically, we were very different. And very often with him, I had to take a stand to say, I would think we need to do this. Here, I must say that it is thanks to him that I was able to take a stand, because not once did he play the father card with me and say, "Listen, I'm your father. How dare you talk to me like this? How dare you argue back and do it because I'm saying so?" Not once. So, he allowed me that space to take a stand. Now, because I did that, I think my relationship with him also became so much stronger. I wouldn't say better, because it was already as good as it could have been. But I think between him and me, we brought out the best in our business, because it was literally, you were sharpening the saw, you were creating that friction to bring out the best, and you were polishing all the rough edges. But that only happened because I took a stand. I could have just said, "No, he's my father. I can't talk against him. I have to be obedient. I have to be respectful." I was very respectful when I would take a stand, but I was very assertive if I felt differently. And today, when I look back, and my children have partly seen, that not as much though. Uh, I think as a family and as a business, we are better off for it.
Amazing. Too good. Yeah, but I completely agree with you at times. Taking a stand is a big difference. I mean, it makes a huge difference, whether it's sometimes just for yourself or even for the community. Even in the larger space, I know of a lot of friends who just take a stand just to say that, listen, this is the society that we are in, and we need to take a position on that front. That goes in business as well. Well, that's the time that we've had for today. This is a discussion that can go on for probably a few hours, but 15 to 20 minutes is what we have for every episode. So thank you, Vivek. That was really insightful, and I'm sure this is a conversation that can be taken over a meal, that can be taken over coffee and tea, and it's a conversation that we should have in society. And that was a thought provoking discussion with some deep insights. It's certainly given us plenty to ponder about the balance between exploring values and business growth. I'm going to encourage each of you to keep these ideas, not to keep these ideas to yourselves, share it with your friends and colleagues and family, and ask them, what do you think? Spark a conversation and see where it leads. And we love to hear from you too. Join the dialogue in our social media platforms, share your questions, your learnings, and the insights you've gained from this episode. It's through these shared experiences and perspectives that we all grow and learn. So don't hesitate to reach out and contribute to this ongoing conversation. Your voice matters in shaping a more ethically driven business world. That's what the time we've had for today. Join us again next week for another enriching episode of Life.EV, where we continue our exploration into the fascinating world of exploring values in our lives. Vivek, thank you very much for this wonderful session. And I'm going to see you next Saturday at 11 o'clock again. Thank you very
Look
much.
forward to it, Ajit. Look forward to it. Thanks a lot.
Bye
Take care.
bye. See you.